cross-court pass to Trey Smith. Trey from downtown, got it. Wants a screen, he'll go the other way, find A.O. Aaron from downtown, got it. The Moose is loose.
Mid-center court with Charlie Ernst on 88.3 WLFC.
Tommy, left side, little stutter step, driving the lane, scoop the hoop, left hand, got it again. High ball screen, back top of the key, backdoor pass ahead, and slam it home. Alex White, that's his second slam.
Join Coach Ernst and the Oilers On Air team as they take a look back at the week that was, discuss what's happening around the conference, and preview the week ahead.
Oilers win it, and what a game here in Croy, and a tremendous victory for the Orange and Black.
And now, let's join men's basketball head coach Charlie Ernst and the voice of Oiler basketball, Jason Granger.
Hello and welcome to Center Court. I'm Jason Granger. Right now joined by the head coach of the Oilers, Coach Charlie Ernst. And Coach, what a weekend in Croy. You get a big win on Thursday over Cedarville, an emotional win, and then Hall of Fame Day on Saturday against Tiffin, and you guys shoot lights out and get two big victories.
Yeah, it was a long week of practice and preparation for Cedarville zone, and it made us a little bit, got us out of our normal routine because we spent the entire week preparing for zone defense, which we only play against or prepare that way once a year. So, we were a little bit uncertain of how we would handle that. And to be honest, Jason, I thought that we would struggle early in the game. Be good against it early in the game and struggle later in the game, just because of the preparation and having all week to get ready. As it turned out, we actually struggled in the first 10 or 12 minutes against that zone. I thought we had some turnovers, gave up some offensive rebounds, just a combination of things that we were trying to avoid. And then I thought we went to our bench midway through the first half, and I thought our guys really picked it up on the defensive end. We got a couple turnovers, cashed in on some easy ones, got the crowd into the game, and then got ourselves to halftime really back in the game. And then I thought in the second half we played really good basketball.
Imagine as a coach you're always looking for growth, for steps forward type things to talk about. And I thought this was a big step forward for our team from this standpoint. You shoot 9 from 3. 25% in the first half, but your defense got you through that first half. You hold Cedarville to 31 points, including I think they didn't score the last 5 minutes. And you go back to December when we played these guys and we struggled. The defense wasn't there. The offense affected the defense. You got to be proud of what you guys did.
Well, without a doubt, they went their last 9 possessions, and we keep track of possessions. We call them. We are always looking for 3 in a row, 3 defensive stops in a row, and if you can do that, that's called a kill. And so you're looking for as many kills as you can get throughout a game. Well, we got 3 in a row to end the first half, which is very, very difficult to do in college basketball, but it was so important because we're only down 4, and we scored 27 points in the first half, go 0 for 9 from the three-point line. There wasn't a lot to be excited about. It was certainly not a masterpiece on offense in the first half, but we go to the locker room with our chins up, and they go to the locker room with their chins down, which is kind of a crazy game that way. But we carried that momentum right into the second half. I thought our offense was much better. We were the aggressor. I thought we moved the ball. We got the ball reversed. We broke their defense down. A lot of good takeaways on offense in the second half, and yet our defense remained stout. So, just a good overall win. Another way of finding a way to win a game when not everything's going well for you, and that's a sign of maturity.
Well, with the momentum you had going into halftime, I kind of had a feeling we were going to come out with certainly better, at least shoot a better percentage. And you got it started with Alex White inside. I want to say it was the first 3 possessions, went down with some deep touches into Alex, and he was going to his left shoulder and really finishing.
Well, he's, I feel like Alex the first half of the season, was really a guy that was focused on being impactful within 7 feet of the basket. And then I think he kind of got away from that a little bit. Too many fadeaways, too many high degree of difficulty shots. And and really part of that's because defenses were gearing towards him. And that's fine, but I feel like this week in practice, I talked to him about, you're the premier low post player in the league. You can't, don't revert to being a 3-point shooter, a jump shooter. You can make those shots, but you're not going to make a living out there. You need to make a living around the basket. And I thought he did that in the second half of the Cedarville game. I thought also Anthony had a couple good drives to the rim. And instead of taking the shot, he had little shovel passes to Alex. That kind of got things started. Alex is a tremendous finisher on those kind of plays. It's not as easy as it looks. He gets the ball from his hands to the rim very quickly, and he's very accurate on those shots. So, we need Alex to be a force down low, a guy that people have to pay extra close attention to. If it draws extra defenders to him, he's also a very unselfish kid. He's going to find opportunities for his teammates, and it was good to see. Because I think it's more of what we saw from Alex in the first half of the season.
Yeah, Alex ends up being the GMAC Player of the Week this week, and then you mentioned Anthony Masterlasco. He had 5 assists in that ball game, which was a season high for him. And then, at the half, I believe we were down by 9 in the rebounding battle, and I know that's something that you're constantly working with these guys on, and completely flipped the script in the second half, and actually out-rebound Cedarville by 3, and Alex goes for 9 boards, and then Chaz George, who is starting to learn how physical he can be. He picks up 9 as well.
Well, that's always a group effort. Now, we've got a big team, especially with Aaron and Alex in the starting lineup. But to be honest, we haven't been as impactful on the defensive end as I would have guessed coming into the season. And maybe that's on me for not emphasizing rebounding as much as it needs to be. I wouldn't say we don't emphasize it, but maybe we emphasize other things more. That wasn't until just a few weeks ago. And, it's become kind of a hallmark statement and things we work on, drills that we use in practice, just to draw extra attention to how important that is. Not just defensive rebounding, but offensive rebounding. I thought we did that very good in our trip south to Trevecca and KWC. And we carried that momentum into both of these games this past weekend. And none more important than the Cedarville game. The one thing about a zone, it can be long, it can be disruptful, it can take away certain sets. But one thing a zone sometimes struggles to do is keep good offensive rebounding teams off the glass. And we were able to make them pay. You mentioned Alex and Chaz. Certainly Chaz, I thought Chaz played really good in all parts of the game. I thought his decision-making on offense was really good. He's so hard to take off the offensive boards when he's got that mindset. And I thought he defended well in that game as well. So we've always been a group rebounding type of program, and this team could be even better than what we are. I think we're showing those signs right now.
And this win here was the third straight game you hold an opponent under 70. And, 6 to 8 points. Cedarville is very talented offensively, and they have a number of guys that can make shots, and then they're big inside. And I thought it really demoralized them at the end of that first half. Started the second half as a 17-0 run, and it kind of took them out of some things they wanted to do.
Well, I think maybe we're finding out what kind of weakness maybe they have. Because they don't have a lot. And I think they have a system that their players believe in, and that's a big part of why they're much improved. Not to mention they've got a talented freshman class, but I think they're comfortable with their system, and their players understand their system and like it. And I think they have a bench that they know how to use those guys. So those are all the positives. Maybe one of their negatives is that their ball handling and their decision-making can be disrupted. And I think that once we cranked up our defense a little bit, got a little bit more aggressive, after Grant Zawadski, they can be sped up a little bit. They can be forced into some turnovers. Again, they've got a lot of young guys they have out there. And I thought those turnovers, forcing those turnovers, cashing in on those turnovers was really important on Thursday night.
Yeah, sure was. 81-68 victory over Cedarville. And then come back on Saturday, and we talked in the pregame just being concerned about you have a big emotional victory over Cedarville where they knocked you off earlier. You come back and you get them here, and what kind of effort are you going to get on Saturday? And you got a great effort, is how it is answered. 72% in the first half. The pace was high, which we like to play at, and we got some guys in the open court, and we look good doing it.
Well, yeah, all of the concerns you mentioned were concerns we had. We've kind of changed our routine a little bit on these Thursday, Saturday games, especially here at home. We didn't really do much on the floor on Friday, other than walk through some press breaker stuff. That's the interesting thing about Cedarville and Tiffin being travel partners, is that they're very different teams. Cedarville is going to play zone. They're going to play a zone press, a 2-2-1 back to a 2-3 matchup zone, and they're going to stick to it for 40 minutes. If you can handle that, they're going to struggle, because that's what they do. They're not going to change. Tiffin, on the other hand, is going to press you for 40 minutes, and that's what they do. And they're not going to change regardless of what happens. And it's a full court trapping press. So very different styles. So that creates a little bit of an issue, in that you kind of have to wipe away what happened Thursday and the game plan that went into it, put that in the file folder, throw it in the drawer, and get ready for a totally different team. So I thought the preparation on the turnaround was really good by our guys. We handled their press aggressively. We heard it. We got them on their heels. I thought they were demoralized at halftime, because we not only beat their press in the front court, but we made them pay in the back court.
I sure did. 21 assists, just 9 turnovers, 44 made field goals, and you got some guys in the open floor. I do want to talk. I thought Devin Stover had a finish in Croy that certainly the fans want to know what you think of it. I don't. It's been a long time since we've seen a finish like that.
Well, Devin is a sneaky athlete. Now, you travel with us, Jason, and so you see some of the behind-the-scenes things that go on in practice or in warm-ups and what have you. So you know what kind of athlete he can be, and I think our fans have come to like his effort and his motor, and on rebounds he'll show athleticism, but they haven't really gotten a chance to see, when he can get a head of steam rolling to the rim, what he's capable of, going off of his, finishing right or left. And, he showed a glimpse of that at Trevecca earlier this year. But this one was more impressive because it was on Austin Adams, who is a very good athlete himself and a rim protector at the back end of that Tiffin press. And so I think Devin probably even surprised Austin Adams a little bit. But it was a tremendous dunk. It was one that got the crowd into it. I love those plays. I love them because it gets the crowd juiced up. I love him because it gets his teammates juiced up. I think his players were happier for him than maybe he was even happy for himself. And as a coach, that puts a smile on your face. So, Devin's been working hard, getting better. If for him that's a way to reward him for the hard work, then that's fine, and I'm happy for him.
Yeah, and a good game as well from the standpoint you get 7 guys in double figures. You get able to play a lot of different guys. You only had to play, I think, Aaron and Trey played the most minutes at 32 minutes, but those are down a little bit normally. So you got a lot, some guys off the bench, a little more playing time, able to rest some of your starters.
Well, and to be honest, I wanted to play our bench even a little bit more than what I did, the real back end of our bench, because those guys work hard. But Tiffin was still pressing right close to the end of the game, and I just wasn't comfortable. The last thing you want to do as a coach, is sub out, 3 or 4 guys and bring in some guys that don't get opportunities with, say, 4 minutes to play in a game, and then there's 4 straight turnovers in the backcourt, and, a 25-point lead goes to 17, and then you got to sub those same guys right back out. There's nothing worse as a player than being subbed back out when you go in. So, you got to be smart about that, and I've learned my lesson, not just myself, but being an assistant for all those years. So I waited a little bit longer than I wanted to, but we did get a lot of guys in the game. I was able to sub our 8 pretty freely, which allowed none of those guys to maybe rack up tons of minutes. And really, we don't have much drop-off right now when we go to our bench. And that's a credit to those guys that are coming off the bench. They just keep getting better.
They sure do. Or there's 2 victories this week and win it on Saturday, 110-85. And when we come back on Center Court, we'll talk about the big matchup this week at Hillsdale on 88.3 WLFC.
Chances are there'll never be an emergency ever again. But just in case, let's talk about a plan.
Okay.
Who is going to grab the go bag?
What's a go bag? It is a bag we do not have that is filled with things we really, really need in an emergency.
Guess we won't have to worry about it then.
Well, this is great. I am so glad that we don't have a plan.
I know.
Winging it is not an emergency plan. Make sure your kids know what to do during an emergency, who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Hey everyone, let's all stop what we're doing and take a moment. You see? Every moment can be kind of special. But they can be loud moments, goofy moments, dorky moments, it doesn't matter. Because every time dads like us take a moment like that to spend with our kids, well, it's pretty momentous. So let's take a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
This message is for all of you sitting in the passenger seat. And apologies if it gets a little uncomfortable, but how does it feel to be at the mercy of someone who thinks a random text is more important than your life? Someone who takes their eyes off the road while speeding along in a 3-ton hunk of steel. Freaky, right? Well, why not just ask them to stop? Or better yet, volunteer to text for them. It might be a little awkward, but believe me, you'll live.
Learn more at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Cross-court pass to Trey Smith. Trey from downtown got it.
Saturday afternoon, your Oiler basketball teams head north as they take on the Chargers from Hillsdale College.
Fricky line to lane. Throw it up with the right hand. Bucket's good. Dana Fricky.
Jason Granger will have all the action from Don Tibbetts Potter Arena. Women's pregame at 12:40, tip-off at 1 o'clock, men's game immediately following.
Aaron from downtown got it. The Moose is loose.
This is your home for Oiler basketball, 88.3 WLFC.
Welcome back to Center Court, and right now joined again by Coach Ernst. And Coach, just one game this week, and it seems like that's how the GMAC schedule has shaped up. When you play your travel partner, at least for us, you play them just on a Saturday, and we got to go up to Hillsdale. It'll be a tough matchup.
It will, and this has been a key game for the last couple years and probably will be in years to come. Hillsdale was a rival and a very good program in the GLIAC, and when we both came to the GMAC, I think that I knew that this would be a team that we would be battling with here in this new conference, and that's exactly how it's played out. They're a veteran team. They've got a big senior class. Some of those seniors have been beat up throughout the season, but I feel like they're getting healthy. They've really cranked up their game, I feel like, in the last 3 to 4 weeks. And they're playing their best basketball right now. So we've got our work cut out for us. I thought their offense was as good as it's been all year. Probably it was their best offensive game of the year. Maybe we had something to do with that. I've explained it this way to our team. With any team you play, you have to try to take away their primary stuff and make them go. That's the ultimate goal. It's just like football. If a team's a really good running team, you want to take away their running game and make them be a passing team. It's always easier said than done, and basketball is no different. But this was a case where their running game was working, their passing game was working, and their special teams was working, and we didn't take any of those things from them. Everything they had at their arsenal was working. They made some threes. They didn't take a lot, but they were extremely efficient. They spread us out. They hurt us on the drive. They hurt us inside. They hurt us on the glass. We didn't do a very good job of taking much of anything from them. So this time around, we've got to do a much better job. You're not going to shut them out. You're not going to take everything from them, but you got to take a little bit from them here or there. And I expect our guys, we will defend them a lot better this time around.
Well, and the thing that stuck out to me, just somebody watching the ball game, was their physicality, and I feel like that's something that Hillsdale's always had. Certainly always physical, but it's 1 through 5. I think a lot of times you think about the big guys, and certainly they're a huge team. Remind me of a Division I team with the amount of guys they have over 6'8". But even their guards are physical. And if you're not going to come ready to be physical against Hillsdale, it's going to be a long day.
Well, yeah, I mean, and at times we have been a finesse team, and at times we've been a physical team. I'm not sure that people would describe us as a physical team, and I've told our players that before. But you mentioned Hillsdale. I think part of that physicality is maturity. When you have a bunch of seniors, and they've got some blue-collar seniors, guys that I wouldn't say are overly skilled offensively, but they get a lot done in all other parts of the game. Screeners, rebounders, dirty work guys, loose balls, long rebounds. They give themselves value. And then, of course, they have some guys that are shooters and are scorers. The very physical team. We're certainly going to have to match their physicality. That'll come out in a couple parts of the game. It'll come out on the glass. It'll come out on post defense, drives to the rim. It'll come out in getting around screens and setting screens and being screened and all of those areas that have nothing to do with having the ball in your hands. In fact, most of those things I talked about don't require having the ball in your hands. And I think that's where they're mostly physical. And that's where we have to match their physicality.
Well, going to the first matchup, when I try to look at games, I was concerned with, they're big guys. Zarnowski's been in there forever, and they have guys they bring off the bench that are really good. But I was impressed with their guard play. Davis Larson, I think, is just a sophomore. He's a three-man, but he scores 24 points. But then their guard, Lowry, played well. The guys that Nauvoo was back. He did well off the bench, and Nigo was a guy. He had 22 points. So their guards just seemed to really be impressive.
Well, the efficiency is eye-popping by those guys. I'm looking at the box score from that game, and I've tried to throw this thing away, and I'd like to, but it is what it is, Jason. But I'm looking at the efficiency. Davis Larson. He goes 7 of 12 from the field, 3 of 3 from the three-point line, 7 of 7 from the free throw line. Niego, 7 of 11 from 2-point, 3 for 5 from three-point line, 5 for 5 from the free throw line. So they just didn't score 24 and 22 respectively. And then Austin Urian, I'm sure you'll get to him, 7 of 9 from 2-point, 2 of 3 from 3-point, didn't shoot any free throws, 16 points off the bench. So it was the efficiency that they scored. These are guys that score in the mid-20s and take 11 shots, So they sometimes when guys score 20, 25, 26 points, it comes at 18, 19 shots, but when you do that on 11 shots, that means you're being very efficient. And that's what Hillsdale does best. They don't take a lot of bad shots. They take good shots. They make you guard them for 25 seconds, and if your defense breaks down early, they'll take something early. So we've got to find a way to be a little disruptive without being undisciplined, And if it takes 25 minutes or 25 seconds of defense, then so be it. And then we have to finish those possessions with a defensive rebound.
Yeah, and then the last time we did play, our offense, I felt like offensively had a pretty good game, and it's not too often that you score 82 points and lose, and that's what happened. And it was an offensive game, which is a little bit odd. Usually Findlay and Hillsdale, a lot of times it ends up being a grinder.
Well, yeah, I think we have to look at being successful in the same way that they are. And I think we've made some strides there. I thought this weekend, really against Hillsdale, Tiffin, I thought we shared the ball really well. It wasn't just throwing it over their press and dunking it. On our possessions, we moved the ball from side to side, quick reversals. We passed up good shots for great shots, and that's what we're going to have to do against Hillsdale. A very different team, but this is as well a coached and as good a positioned defensive team as we will see all year. And so what that means is you're not going to get many opportunities where after one pass you can break their defense down. That just doesn't happen. They're too good. They've got a lot of guys that have been in a lot of games, and their positioning is really good, and it's really good early in the shot clock. So we've got to reverse the ball. We've got to set good screens. We've got to execute our sets well. And then we have to, and it's not just to wear them down a little bit, but then that's how you get offensive rebounds, because we're not going to make every shot we take. So there's a lot of ways to be successful, and we may have to, I think for us, a key is just to have the discipline and the trust in one another, that if we have to run shot clock to get a good shot, that's fine. That's what we have to do.
You mentioned Hillsdale playing extremely well right now. They've won 8 straight, and I think this is a Hillsdale team that maybe the fans maybe has surprised some people because of the type of players they lost last season. Some big names that they lost that scored a lot of points, but I'm sure a lot of the coaches kind of expected Hillsdale to be here with the amount of seniors that they did return.
Well, that's the thing, is that they lost 2 very good scorers. They lost Stedman Lowry, and then they lost what's his name, Ryan Badowski. 2 really good scoring wings, but they returned everyone else, and they had a big junior class a year ago, and those guys are all seniors now, and those seniors for them are guys like Niego, Gordon Bear, Sarnowski, Nephew, Jack Cordes off the bench, Wilkerson off the bench. I mean, they've got 6 seniors in their top 10 or 11 guys, and those guys have been through a lot of games, and I think that's where that physicality, that toughness, that discipline, that comes from maturity. And so we're going to have to match their physicality. We're going to have to be disciplined, and we have shown a lot of growth in those areas. It's a big challenge, but it's a great challenge.
A big challenge on the road Saturday, 3:00 start. Before we finish this broadcast up, do you want to take a look at the GMAC standings? And about 4 weeks ago we looked at it, and it was a big mumbled jumbled mess. In a lot of ways it still is. Findlay and Hillsdale are 12-2, and we're right there, and the winner of this ball game is going to be in first place. But then you got 3 schools in Walsh, Lake Erie, and Cedarville, all within striking distance. So very different than what it was a year ago, with a lot of teams, 9 out of the top 8 still playing for a lot in this conference.
Well, I look at our league, and I believe this. This is just not. But you take the top 6 teams in our league. I think any of those teams can compete with the best teams in this region. Not just this league, but the best teams in this region on any given night, and they have. Ohio Dominican went toe-to-toe with Ashland earlier in the year at Ashland in a game that they led for 37 minutes, I think. And Ohio Dominican is 6th right now in our league. The same is true for Cedarville. They went to Lake State after Christmas and lost a barn burner at the buzzer, 94-92. Lake Erie has played some very difficult teams and have done well. They've got some good wins under their belt, and they're playing well. And so, I think this league is a good league, much improved from a year ago in terms of the quality of good teams. And so, we're into February, almost to mid-February, but as you mentioned, there's still a lot of basketball left.
A lot of basketball left, and big one Saturday up at Hillsdale. 3:00. Coach, best of luck.
Thank you.
That's head coach Charlie Ernst. I want to remind Oiler fans, if you can't make the trip up to Hillsdale, which certainly one of the easier trips in the conference. Hope everybody can make it up there. If not, we'll have the broadcast. Women's game starts at 1:00, so we'll have pregame at 12:40 with the men's game immediately following. For the coach Charlie Ernst, I'm Jason Granger. You've been listening to Center Court.
Tommy, left side, little stutter step, driving the lane, scoop the hoop, left hand, got it again.
Thank you for listening to Center Court with Charlie Ernst.
Once the screen, he'll go the other way, find A.O. Aaron from downtown, got it. The moose is loose.
Join us every Tuesday night during the season for your connection to Coach Ernst and Oiler men's basketball.
Oilers win it, and what a game here in Croy, and a tremendous victory for the Orange and Black.
This is your home for Oiler men's basketball, 88.3 WLFC.